Hello and welcome. I am Jay, and I have recently finished a playthrough of Armored Core 6: The Fires of Rubicon. A common sentiment that revolves around this game is that it's not for everyone, and I can confirm this is true because I am one of the people this game is not for. Now, you may think that means that I think the game is bad, or that I wouldn't recommend it to other people. But the truth is a little more complicated than that. The game has its virtues and its flaws, so let's talk about it. First off, as you can see, the graphics are quite lovely. I played and recorded on a PS5. It has a prioritized frame rate or prioritized quality option. I played with them both a little bit before I switched to prioritized frame rate and never touched it again. The graphics, the game, the setting, all of it looks really quite good. On to the story. As I understand it, you need to play through the game up to 3 times in order to get the full narrative. I have beaten the game once, and I have no plans to play it again. This leaves me somewhat unable to render an accurate verdict on the quality of the story. But what I can say is that on playthrough 1, the story is very, and I mean very, backloaded. The game breaks down into 5 chapters, each with a selection of missions. For the first 3.5 chapters, you basically have little to no information on what's going on. You don't know what Rubicon is, you don't know what Coral is, you don't really even know why you're there. You're just sent on missions to go shoot things. And then about halfway through chapter 4, the entire story gets dumped on you. This is an issue for a reason that I will touch on later in the video when it becomes more relevant to something that I want to talk about. But what I can say now is that I really wish they had spread the story out a little bit more. Had they done that, I might be more inclined to do more playthroughs or multiple playthroughs. But again, I'll speak on this issue a little bit more later. This leads me to my biggest problem with the game, and that's the gameplay. In order to adequately explain my issue with Armored Core 6, I need to explain what a difficulty curve is. Let me pull up some graphing software. Here, we have a very well-drawn graph. It has game difficulty on the y-axis, and it has time in-game on the x-axis. In general, you want a difficulty curve to look something like this. The game starts off easy and then gets progressively more difficult. This accommodates your increasing skill level as well as any power-ups to your character. This makes the game enjoyably challenging all the way through. Too low of a curve and the game gets boring, too high of a curve and the game gets frustrating. Armored Core's difficulty curve looks something like this. It's all over the place. The regular missions are so easy that you would have to try to fail them, while some of the boss fights are so difficult, it's almost ridiculous. This game seems to be trying to be both a pure power fantasy and a hardcore boss rush simulator, where you can stomp on enemies like ants, but then the bosses stomp on you like you're the ant. I could barely enjoy the normal missions because they were just too easy, and I never really enjoyed any of the boss fights, either because they weren't really all that much of a challenge, or because they were stupidly hard. I never really felt like I skilled my way through a boss. They either fell rather easily, or on the more difficult ones, I just felt like I was lucky to get through them. I never felt like I earned a victory in one of those boss fights. Now, maybe this was intentional. I don't know, but I did not enjoy it. Now, I could forgive this to a certain extent if it were not for the next issue. And that is game balancing. This game needs it, and sorely. There are clearly superior weapons and mech parts, and in my opinion, it really brings the game down. For example, I really like the look and functionality of the quad lens. The image of a spider mech floating around was just really appealing to me for some reason, but there were just some missions where I couldn't use them. My mobility was too reduced, and the hovering feature you got with them didn't do anything. One mission, near the end of my playthrough, I was just smashing my head against a wall. I died like a dozen times on a single mission. Each time I tried to equip different weapons, different combinations, to try to get through, and I just couldn't do it. Finally, I left the mission, went and bought a pair of reverse joint legs, and 2 tries later, won. It's frustrating to have all of these options available to you, and you are forced into using something because what you like isn't as strong or isn't as balanced as the other option. And you might say, but Jay, that's the point. You need to equip yourself for each mission. That is valid, but this is where I bring up the story problem that I mentioned earlier. In this game, you spend the first 15 hours being talked at. Not talked to, talked at. The main character, named 621, has no dialogue, no personality, no choices, save for a couple of branching missions, and that makes it really hard to get invested in a character when you have no real say in the story. You're not a part of the story so much as you are a tool being used by the other characters. Now, this I know was a conscious decision made by the developers, but the problem still stands in the mind of the player. That you have nothing to really be invested in, nothing to really get attached to. That leaves the mech building, which is a huge mechanic in the game, and the only thing you have any real control over. The only real choices you get to make. And then those choices are taken from you by an insane mission difficulty and unbalanced options. It is beyond annoying. Again, you might think that I hate this game and would tell you to stay away from it. Well, you are incorrect in that. There are several things about this game that I did enjoy. I loved the arena mode. I think it is this game at its absolute best. It is just your build against your opponent's build. There's no heals, no other enemies, no obstacles in the way, nothing. Just your skill and your choices against theirs. I actually felt like I won most of these through skill as opposed to luck. And the fact that they made the arena mode basically online PvP is sheer brilliance. Like, great choice. Also, the sheer amount of customization that is available to you is incredible. Not just in mech parts, but in the way you can make it look. You can change almost everything about it, from the way it looks to its internal workings. You can get more boost. You can do a lot with it. No review I've seen of this game goes into it because there's just too much to go into. You can do a lot of customization in this game. What I'm saying is that this game is actually good. It's just not for me. So then who is this game for? Well, this, I think, is going to make it or break it for you. If you like changing your build for every mission, adjusting your weapons and systems to go in with just what you need and proceed as efficiently as possible, or if you like replaying missions over and over again with different builds and testing them out, or grinding out that S rank, you will love this game. You will adore it. If you are looking to build a character like I was, if you're looking for something to get invested in, you will most likely not enjoy this game. For me, as something of an RPG fan who loves characters and great stories, this game is about a 5 out of 10. It was a good game that really frustrated me. If you love this, it's going to be like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. I paid full price for this game. In my opinion, I would wait for a sale. If I paid $20 or $30 for it, I would probably feel a lot better about my purchase. But that's for me, and if you're like me. But let me know what you think. Did you play the game? Is my assessment wrong? Let me know what you think in a well thought out and interesting comment, because I know that you have a well thought out, interesting comment. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I am Jay, and I hope to see you next time.